doing A Course in Miracles, and I'm going to be reading right now from the Manual for Teachers, which is the third section of the course. You have the text, the workbook, and the manual. And the manual also has questions and answers, and it also has a section called the clarification of terms. And this is section 4, and the title of this is True Perception Dash Knowledge. Here we go. The world you see is an illusion of a world. God did not create it, for what he creates must be eternal as himself. Yet there is nothing in the world you see that will endure forever. Some things will last in time a little while longer than others, but the time will come when all things visible will have an end. The body's eyes are therefore not the means by which the real world can be seen, for the illusions that they look upon must lead to more illusions of reality. And so they do. For everything they see not only will not last, but lends itself to thoughts of sin and guilt, while everything that God created is forever without sin and therefore is forever without guilt. Knowledge is not the remedy for false perception, since, being another level, they can never meet. The one correction possible for false perception must be true perception. It will not endure, but for the time it lasts, it comes to heal. For true perception is a remedy with many names. Forgiveness, salvation, atonement, true perception are all one. They are the one beginning with the end to lead to oneness far beyond themselves. True perception is the means by which the world is saved from sin, for sin does not exist. And it is this that true perception sees. The world stands like a block before Christ's face. But true perception looks on it as nothing more than just a fragile veil, so easily dispelled that it can last no longer than an instant. It is seen at last for only what it is. And now it cannot fail to disappear, for now there is an empty place made clean and ready. Where destruction was perceived, the face of Christ appears, and in that instant is the world forgot, with time forever ended as the world spins into nothingness from where it came. A world forgiven cannot last. It was the home of bodies. But forgiveness looks past bodies. This is its holiness. This is how it heals. The world of bodies is the world of sin, for only if there were a body is sin possible. From sin comes guilt as surely as forgiveness takes all guilt away. And once all guilt is gone, what more remains to keep a separated world in place? For place has gone as well along with time. Only the body makes the world seem real. For being separate, it could not remain where separation is impossible. Forgiveness proves it is impossible because it sees it not. And what you then will overlook will not be understandable to you, just as its presence once had been your certainty. This is the shift that true perception brings. What was projected out is seen within, and there forgiveness lets it disappear. For there the altar to the Son is set, and there his Father is remembered. Here are all illusions brought to truth and laid upon the altar. What is seen outside must lie beyond forgiveness, for it seems to be forever sinful. Where is hope while sin is seen as outside? What remedy can guilt expect? But seen within your mind, guilt and forgiveness for an instant lie together, side by side upon one altar. There at last are sickness and its single remedy joined in one healing brightness. God has come to claim his own. Forgiveness is complete. And now God's knowledge, changeless, certain, pure, and wholly understandable, enters its kingdom. Gone is perception, false and true alike. Gone is forgiveness, for its task is done. And gone are bodies in the blazing light upon the altar to the Son of God. God knows it is his own, as it is his. And here they join, for here the face of Christ is shown away time's final instant. And now is the last perception of the world without a purpose and without a cause. For where God's memory has come at last, there is no journey, no belief in sin, no walls, no bodies, and the grim appeal of guilt and death is there snuffed out forever. Oh, my brothers, if you only knew the peace that will envelop you and hold you safe and pure and lovely in the mind of God, you could but rush to meet him where his altar is. Hallowed your name and his, for they are joined here in this holy place. Here he leans down to lift you up to him, out of illusions into holiness, out of the world and to eternity, out of fear and given back to love. All right. Let's just go over the basics real quick. You have true perception and you have knowledge. Now, first of all, there's perception. Perception requires subject and object. So perception is the world of duality, which is where we are right now, right? We're in the world of subject and object. So perception would be, there's a subject, which is usually me, and seeing objects seemingly outside of myself. And as long as we're identified with the body, that's what we will see. And if we're seeing with our body's eyes, then we will see a world of sin and guilt and suffering. And that's just how it is with the body. But what we can do is and that would be false perception. That would be untrue perception. True perception would be when we see what we see, but we see it through the eyes of Jesus or the Holy Spirit, right? Christ consciousness. So we see that world, but we also know it's not real. We say to ourselves, yeah, I see that, but that's not the true reality. Because I have my guide that has told me, and I have my inner sense that is not, that this is not what is real. God did not create suffering, guilt, sin. God, and this section says very clearly, God did not create this world. Now, some people will say that it just means, this doesn't mean that God didn't create the world. It just means that God did not create the illusions that we see with our eyes. But when those illusions are removed, the world will still, then we will, the world will still be there. But this seems to be saying very clearly, this is one of the places in the Course where it seems to be saying very clearly that this world will vanish when the final step happens, when we return to knowledge. So knowledge is God's realm, which is beyond the world of perception, which is the realm of oneness, which is a non-dual reality. When we get there, there is no more world, right? The world is gone, which means pretty literally and pretty clearly that the world is an illusion, right? There is no world. Jesus says that in the Course. There is no world, right? This world was over long ago. This world was over before it even started. That's the metaphysics of the Course, is that the world really never happened. This whole thing that we're experiencing, believe it or not, never really happened. And if the more that we can accept that, the more we will go further with all this, right? If the world didn't happen, we also didn't happen. We're not real. That's one of the hardest things to accept, is that, if this world didn't happen, then this person that I call myself, that I think of myself with a body, with a personality, with a history, with all these things that have seemed so real my whole life, my whole story, are an illusion, and part of this huge illusion that is almost incomprehensibly, unfathomably huge, that we cannot even wrap our minds around what, this illusion, this cosmic illusion. And that's why we need something outside of ourselves to point it out to us, because when we're caught in it, when we're in the battleground, that's what Jesus was saying in the section about the battleground. When we're in the battleground, we can't see it. But when we go above the battleground, we can understand what it is. And that's why we need the metaphysics of the Course to help us to grasp what that is. So anyway, forgiveness is also an illusion. You know, there's different names, Jesus says, for what true perception is. Forgiveness, salvation, atonement, true perception. These are all illusions, right? These are all part of this world still. When we get to this place of knowledge, all of these things will disappear. Everything will disappear. But forgiveness, true perception, salvation, these are the final illusion. These are the illusion that frees us from all other illusions. Jesus doesn't say it here, but he says it elsewhere, that these are the illusion that will free us from all other illusions, especially the atonement principle, which is that separation from God and separation at all is an impossibility. It never happened, never could happen. And when we can accept that, when we can fully accept that, when we're going to be ready to go back to our eternal nature. Now, the question really is, though, are we ready for that? and what does that really mean? And that's probably what scares us the most is, wow, that's a big one. I'm going to return to my eternal nature. What's going to become of me? And I like being here. I like being in a body. I like this whole, so won't I lose everything? And Jesus is saying, no, you will have everything. But that doesn't, that answer doesn't satisfy us. And hence, we got a big problem. But anyway, hope this was a little bit helpful. And I'm going to keep reading. And hopefully, if you're following this channel, you're going to go on the journey with me. So thank you. And I'd always love your feedback, comments, anything you want to share, anything you want to hear more about. Thank you.